Every relationship is a dance, but when your dad asks about it, suddenly you're expected to choreograph the entire routine. Isn't it funny how a single question from a parent can suddenly turn your world into a whirlwind of uncertainty? The idea of someone else's expectations on your love life feels like walking a tightrope between what you want and what's expected of you. How do you answer when someone who's seen you grow asks about a future they may never fully understand? The pressure of answering that question feels like holding your breath, waiting for everything to fall into place. You can't help but wonder if the seriousness of your relationship is determined by someone else's standards rather than your own heart. My dad's question feels like a mirror, reflecting my own doubts and fears that I've been hiding from myself. Every relationship feels fragile when it's under the microscope of someone who's known you your entire life. It's like being asked to predict the future when all you want is to live in the present moment. Sometimes it's not about answering the question, but figuring out if you even know the answer yourself. Dad's question brings up a whirlwind of emotions: uncertainty, excitement, and the need for validation. When they ask, you can't help but question if it's truly love or just the pressure of everyone around you. Why does the opinion of one person, even if it's your father, seem to hold so much weight in your heart? When it comes to love, is it ever truly possible to answer with certainty? Or are we all just trying to figure it out as we go? It's like my relationship is a novel, and someone's asking me to reveal the ending before the story has fully unfolded. Dad's asking about the seriousness, but how do you explain the depth of emotions that words can't fully capture? The question lingers in the air, and suddenly every small detail of the relationship becomes something to dissect. You want to be honest with yourself, but sometimes you're not sure if you are ready to confront the truth about where things are headed. The thought of answering that question makes me wonder if I truly know what I want, or if I'm just hoping it works out. Sometimes it's easier to say, I don't know, than to admit the complexity of what you're feeling. Isn't it funny how one person's curiosity can make you rethink everything you thought was certain? The future always feels more uncertain when you're asked to define it in terms that are more about expectation than reality. In those moments of doubt, you find yourself trying to make sense of feelings that can't be boxed in by simple answers. It's not just about whether the relationship is serious. It's about how serious you are about facing the truth. When they ask, you realize the seriousness of the situation is more about how ready you feel to take that next step. I can't help but think, is this the relationship I want to build my future on? Or is it just a chapter in a much larger story? I wish there was a simple way to express the mixed feelings that come with someone else's opinion of your love life. Sometimes, the uncertainty of love is the most truthful thing you can offer when asked about the seriousness of it. A simple question like that can take your mind on a journey to all the things you're unsure of, even about yourself. The truth about love is that it's never truly clear, but sometimes you're forced to paint a picture with whatever colors you have. Dad's question reminds me that we're all trying to figure out if we're truly ready for the depth of a relationship. The weight of that question is heavy because it asks more than just about the relationship. It asks about my readiness, my future, and my heart. In the silence that follows his question, I find myself wondering if I'm ready to make promises I'm not sure I can keep. His question isn't just about them, it's about the future, the unknown, and the road ahead. What happens when you're not sure whether the love you feel is enough to satisfy everyone else's hopes for you? The seriousness of a relationship isn't just defined by the commitment you make, but by how much you're willing to understand the future together. Sometimes, the most honest answer to that question is one full of doubt, because the truth is, we're all still learning as we go. I can't help but wonder if seriousness is measured by shared dreams or the simple act of being there for each other every day. When your dad asks about seriousness, you realize that relationships are less about labels and more about mutual growth. It's like you're being asked to make a decision that defines the rest of your life, but you're still so caught up in the present. I want to answer, but the answer feels like it's still being written in the small, quiet moments of each day we spend together. The more I try to define it, the more I realize that love can't be boxed in by words, titles, or questions. In a world where everyone wants answers, sometimes love is just about being okay with the uncertainty. You can tell them it's serious, but there's a part of you that knows the definition of seriousness keeps changing. Isn't it strange that we're expected to have everything figured out when it comes to love, when the truth is we're all just trying to figure it out? When someone asks, "Are you serious?" it's like putting your heart under a microscope, hoping it will hold up to scrutiny. Dad's question made me realize that sometimes we need someone else to push us to confront what we're too afraid to face. It's not about what they think. It's about whether you can find the strength to define what's serious for yourself. The best answer I can give is one that acknowledges the uncertainty, because relationships are never truly defined until time shows us. The question is simple, but the emotions it stirs are anything but. It makes you look deeper into your own heart. When they ask about seriousness, I can't help but wonder what seriousness really means in the context of love that's still unfolding. Sometimes the hardest question is the one that requires you to look at yourself, at your desires, and at what you truly want. Dad's question forces me to pause and think, is this love built on something real, or just the comfort of the familiar? The truth is, relationships evolve and grow, and sometimes seriousness is just about being open to that change. When he asks, it feels like there's a part of me that's still waiting to figure out if this is the person I want to share my future with. The fear of disappointing others can sometimes cloud the clarity you need to make a decision that feels right for you. I wish there was a way to explain that love isn't about certainty. It's about feeling deeply, even when the future feels unknown. Every relationship is a journey, but sometimes we forget to embrace the uncertainty and trust that the road will lead us somewhere beautiful. The pressure of answering his question is overwhelming, but it also reminds me how much I care about the direction we're heading in. At the end of the day, seriousness in a relationship isn't about one single answer, but about the willingness to explore the future together. Sometimes, the more you think about the future, the less sure you feel about what it should look like. The idea of seriousness in a relationship often feels like a constant tug of war between heart and mind. It's not just about saying, yes, we're serious. It's about knowing what serious even means in the context of where you are. Dad's question makes me realize that relationships are more about the small moments than the big decisions. The question about seriousness isn't just about commitment, it's about vulnerability and how much you're willing to risk for love. Every relationship has its own pace, and sometimes the timing just doesn't align with what others expect. When love is still in its early stages, every question about the future feels like an unfair test of what's not yet defined. Sometimes the hardest part of a relationship isn't making it serious. It's finding the courage to define what that looks like for you. The idea of being serious with someone feels so big, yet the most serious moments are often the quiet ones you share when no one's watching. It's easy to get caught up in trying to answer the question, but the truth is, love is a journey that's always unfolding. When someone asks if it's serious, you're forced to think about all the little pieces that have come together to make it meaningful. The seriousness of a relationship isn't just about the label, it's about how deeply you're willing to show up for each other. Love doesn't always come with a clear roadmap, and sometimes you're left to navigate it one step at a time. Every relationship is serious in its own way, and sometimes It's the simple moments that define what it really means. The question about seriousness can feel like pressure, but at the same time, it forces you to reflect on how much you truly care. The more you try to explain your feelings, the more you realize that love is something that can't be fully captured by words. In the end, seriousness isn't measured by what others think, but by the depth of commitment and care you're willing to offer. It's strange how something as simple as one question can make you question everything you thought you knew about love. The thing about love is that it isn't something you can easily categorize, yet everyone expects a definition. The deeper you get into a relationship, the more you realize that seriousness isn't about promises, but about showing up every day.